All right. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to episode 1 of X's and O's. We are happy to be here talking hockey. And even though we are not playing hockey in the North Division this season, that's not stopping us. We miss our friends at $3 Dewey's and, of course, our usual coaches show. But, we decided to bring things to you live here on Facebook with X's and O's, where we'll be going through the entire North Division gamut of coaches. And we're pleased to start it off with, of course, Riley Armstrong, head coach and assistant GM of the Mariners, and our first special guest, Kirk MacDonald, head coach of the Reading Royals. Gentlemen, how are we doing this evening?
It's game day for us at this point.
I'm ready to rock. 7 p.m. puck drop here.
I want to say I really appreciate the enthusiasm you guys have shown throughout all this because I imagine for you guys and a lot of people in the hockey world, this is the first fall and winter in many, many years, probably since you were a little kid, that you weren't directly involved in hockey, whether it was playing, youth hockey, junior hockey, pros or coaching, and you're just kind of sitting there watching, and it's got to be painful in many ways. So, one of the things I'm sure the fans are wondering, how have you guys been passing your time? How tough has this been? Especially when other teams in our very league are playing, and of course various leagues throughout, with the NHL starting tomorrow. K-Mac, start with you. How have you been passing your time?
It's been slow, that's for sure. Just kind of trying to. I usually go into the office every day. I'll work out at the gym there, and end up bugging certain guys talking about video and clips of just random stuff. I mean, trying to watch some presentations here or there that are online of different coaches. I know the NHL Coaches Association has done a really good job having, weekly or bi-weekly presentations on different topics from different coaches at the American League and NHL level. And, I've been bugging some of the development guys in Lehigh and Philly about just doing video. I know John Riley, one of the development coaches, is probably tired of listening to me and getting texts about, did you see that play at the World Juniors? Did you see this, that? It's trying to dissect anything we can just to stay busy and I try and take it as an opportunity to learn some new stuff this year as opposed to just being dialed into that grind.
Riles, how about you?
Yeah, kind of did the same amount of stuff. I really loved having World Juniors back. Got Christmas, that spark back again. But at the same time, I got 2 kids, so got them signed up into hockey. That runs three days a week. And then we also got skiing passes up to a mountain here, King Pine, just outside of Portland here, about an hour. So we hit up the slopes a couple times a week as well, just to keep the kids busy, get them outside. I think the hardest part of the whole entire thing has been mostly on our kids of only going to school 2 days a week. So trying to keep them active.
And I got to say, it's been hard not being behind the mic either. By the time we get back to that in, or the press box, at least in October, it's going to hopefully feel like riding a bike again. But not having those games to call. I might have to just throw the NHL games on mute and pull out the microphone. Just like the old days when we're growing up broadcasting, most of us did that, or put on the video games and started calling those. But before we go too much farther here on X's and O, just want to kind of tell everybody what this show is going to be about. It's going to be every 2 weeks from now until we get bored of this. We'll go through the full, as I was saying, slate of North Division coaches, and then we'll expand from there with guests throughout. And as we stream here live on Facebook, please feel free to drop your comments or your questions. We want to be interactive. And we thank everybody from not only the Mariners fan base, but the Royals fan base and anyone throughout the ECHL that is tuning in here, particularly the North Division teams who I know are missing out on hockey a little bit more. So drop your comments or your questions at any time. We'd be happy to get to those. But just as a rundown here, we're going to talk in a little bit about Kirk and Riley's past relationships throughout hockey. They've crossed paths a few times before becoming head coaches here at the ECHL level. Then we'll break down the tail of the tape, kind of the stats, the head-to-head stats, and these guys' careers as head coaches. And then we'll really get into the true X's and O's, as we'll have some video breakdown and we'll probably wrap up the conversation talking about some ECHL news that broke today with some expansion that will be taking place next fall, as well as the NHL, of course, which kicks off tomorrow. It's a very busy time around hockey, and it's going to be a breath of fresh air for everybody in the hockey world to have some NHL to watch again starting tomorrow night. But before we get into all that, Kirk and Riley, you guys played not together as teammates, but as opponents in the AHL back in the glory days of the Atlantic Division, where I know, Rouse, you've told me many times it was a dream because you were barely staying in hotels. All the teams were so clustered together that the travel was very easy, which would be great for a time like now. But there were some big time rivalries that built up, and particularly Riley when you were with Worcester, Kirk with you when we were with Providence. What are some of the things you guys remember about playing against one another in the mid to late 2000s?
Yeah, first of all, I think both teams had so much talent on both ends. If you look at the Bruins now, they had like Rask was in net with Marchand and Krejci. There was some, I think Johnny Boychuk. There was some like high name guys there, and we had Pavelski, Matthew Darsh. We had some good players there as well. Jamie McGinn came up through there, Logan Couture. But it was just so close. I think 40 minutes away from each other. I always felt Kirk was the type of player that he started to put up a lot of points as he played more in the American League, like a lot of guys do. But at the same time, if he needed to drop the gloves, he wasn't afraid to go either. So he kind of kept everybody on their toes, and it could almost surprise you with something that went on. So I think that's where kind of it brewed up. There was a lot of players that like that rat roll, forechecking, a lot of chirping going on during the game. So they're always fun to play in.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Oh, one thing I forgot. I went skiing in Lake Placid last week. It was fantastic with my wife. I forgot to mention that, staying busy. That was a great time. But anyways, back to the topic at hand. Yeah, like it was playing Worcester was a battle, to say the least. I remember we were playing you guys in the playoffs. My first year I came up, I was on a PTO, and we ended up winning in 6 games, and Riles almost killed a guy. And I remember like it was absolute mayhem. But the one thing, like they were good, both teams. I remember we had that year. We had Tuca and net, Johnny Boychuk, Marchand, Sabatka, Adam McQuaid. Geez, I'm missing some guys too. But like the team was loaded. Like I was a plug. But I always remember Worcester like always had a fourth line of just the 4 guys in the league. We're all, and no matter when you went into Worcester, you were like, it was going to be an absolute war. It didn't matter what year. I was there for 4 years, and every year there was a Fraser McLaren, Pellich, the oldest Pellich brother. I'm losing.
Jimmy Bono.
Jimmy Bono was there one year. Nick Petrecki. The Senna Ekelast.
Yeah.
He was like sneaky crazy. And I remember that playoff series. I ended up Fraser McLaren's like, we're going, and it's on video somewhere. I got beat up, but I mean, like it was just there was tough guys everywhere. The game's changed, but I mean, every team had guys like that back then, and it was different. But I mean, it was awesome. Like it was fun, and it's funny. I'd be home in my apartment quicker when we played in Worcester than if it was a home game because I wouldn't go out for dinner after the game.
Yeah.
Or like it was a 40-minute drive. You'd get in the shower, get on the bus, and you'd be home. And after home game, you go to a restaurant, hang out with the guys for a little bit, get home around 11:30. Nope, you'd be home by like 10:30 if you played.
You brought up something that I was going to bring up, how the game has changed, and I think it's worth talking about because back in those days, when you had all those great minor league hockey rivalries. And then, of course, in the NHL in the earlier days, I mean, you had some Donnybrook, some line brawls. It was those were commonplace things. And in minor league hockey, there's a group of fans, I would say a rather large group, that really loves that type of thing. And I think about the current Mariners Worcester Railers rivalry and the Yannick Turcotte and Morgan Adams Moisan, which I think has gone at least 3 times in 2 years. It's something that the fans really look forward to, but you can't doubt or you can't dispute that is part of the game that's disappearing, whether it's for player safety reasons or it's just kind of the natural evolution of the game. But I kind of want to get your guys' takes on, do you think that's a good or a bad thing that element is kind of being phased out of hockey?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those things where things evolve, and I know we played in a time when there were certain guys that were on your team where literally they couldn't do anything else, and they were, and they were taking a job of a guy who could contribute maybe 10 to 12 minutes on the fourth line every night, where these guys would play one shift a period and fight the other guy on the other team, and I think Riles would agree, like, I love a good dust up as much as the next guy, but I think those guys need to be able to contribute. And, and I think now if you can't contribute, whether it's being a good penalty killer or face-off guy, or maybe you're not contributing on the score sheet, you got to bring something else to the table and being able to get punched in the face. And it's like, and I know from being the head coach here, I was always trying to find a tougher team, but you're not trying to find a guy who can't play. And, this year we were lucky enough to kind of fall into guys like Hayden Hodgkin, who, to me, if he didn't get hurt in November, would have scored 25 goals. But he'll beat you up. And Garrett Mitchell, like at our level, like was an offensive guy. But like those guys are great players who happen to be tough. And they're a dying breed. And that's just of the game evolving, but it's still nice to know that you can have those guys in your lineup. You know what I mean? So it's I don't want to see where it's going back where you're having absolute Donnybrooks every night, but the same time, I'd like to have a little jam in the game too.
Yeah, I feel with having only 10 forwards, you can't just have your 10th guy maybe playing in a 4-and-5 or a 3-and-3, and your 10th forward can't even get on the ice to kind of give that other guy the break. And it's like what Kirk's talking about is finding those the hybrid guy that can fight, but he can go on the power play. He can kill penalties. I know with Big Mo, we had Big Mo net front, and he would also kill penalties, and he would go in there and stick up for guys as well. But I think now when you look at a rivalry, it's how fast the game is. How hard they compete on the puck, win their 50-50 battles, and you still have that fire. There's just not necessarily as many dust-ups and fights. It's face washes, headlocks, and then you have the odd fight. But usually it's a lightweight fight where, they're going, it's fun, it's exciting, and, they go to the box. But I feel for the most part, that is still in the game. It's just in different areas now. Especially at our level with having 10 forwards, you absolutely need that 10th guy to be able to skate up and down the rink.
And I was talking to Big Mo on quarantine back at the beginning of all of this, and he brought up what I thought was one of the best points I'd ever heard about fighting. It was an argument for fighting, and it was that, shocker coming from Big Mo, right, that he wants to keep fighting in the game. He said he thinks that fighting actually keeps the game safer, because if you were to outlaw fighting, you would have players taking more liberties, knowing there was no risk of someone coming after them. And, I just thought that was one of the greatest arguments I'd ever heard, in defense of fighting. And I think that there's something really to that. And, Big Mo Riles for the Mariners is a guy that really keeps other players honest in terms of thinking twice about maybe going after somebody in a dirty manner or in a manner that's going to upset the Mariners.
Yeah, that's 100%. And I think he has everybody's back, but, Mo could also play, you get on the PK for us, net front on the power play. I think he had 16 goals, not as many last year, but, he can still chip in too. And that's what you want. And kind of like what K-Mac was saying, you need those guys. I think Mitchell, I think I just saw a clip of Mitchell in a preseason game against Adirondack going toe-to-toe and, grabbing another guy on his way off the ice too, but I think you kind of need those guys though. You need those guys who are going to stand up for other guys that aren't necessarily willing to do that.
I have a question here. Both of you guys can address this one from Andrew Hart. Is it tougher in the ECHL to have a dedicated forward enforcer when the team has just 10 forwards? And a good point. Obviously, a shorter or a smaller lineup than the higher levels at the AHL and the NHL, where you're really limited to the amount of players you can have not only on your roster but in your lineup. Kirk, you want to take that one? Is that make it a tougher decision?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of like I think we kind of just mentioned. It's just you can't do it really with 10 forwards. It's especially one guy gets a penalty. A guy gets, say, another guy gets in a fight. And now you're down to 9, and then for 5 minutes, or a couple guys get banged up. All of a sudden, you've got 8 forwards. And then a guy that liability potentially is on the ice for 15 minutes a game, like that might cost you, that might cost you the game. When we've had games this year where first 10 minutes of the game, you lose 2 guys to an injury, and you're playing 8 forwards for 50 minutes. You know what I mean? And I think that's an issue. And even you see it at the NHL, like I said, like you see it at the American League, at the NHL level, like there's guys that are tough. Like, don't get me wrong, there's some tough guys playing, but Ryan Reeves will score 10 goals for Vegas. Like, yeah, he's the toughest guy in hockey, but you can put the puck in the back of the net. And, I think the year Boston won the Cup in 2011, their whole fourth line had 10 goals. Like Sean Thornton included. He's one of the toughest guys in the game. Like you still need to be able to play nowadays. And that's, a guy who's just quote unquote an enforcer. I think they are kind of a dying breed. Fighting. I don't think fighting is, but I think having a guy that is one-dimensional in that sense is leaving the game.
Yeah, and Riles, I mean, you mentioned already the big nose offensive upside, but maybe a better example is a guy like Mikhail Robidoux, who we know has offensive upside. He just hasn't developed that yet at the ECHL level. So last season, when you were picking and choosing the spots to play him, you knew that maybe you were sacrificing a little bit of offense to have him in the lineup to be that agitator.
Yeah, and then you also have to look at who you're playing. When we go into play Reading, we know they're a fast team. I believe that they don't have a guy who's going to be like, I'm going to go get Roby fired up here. We're going to try and let him sleep. But when we go in to play Worcester, when they have Turcotte and a couple other guys that are doing the same thing, we can plug Roby in on that side as well to match that. So I don't know. I think if at our league, when you're juggling a salary cap and roster spots, you have to be smart of where you're plugging guys in and how you manage their minutes and the games that they play in.
Well, after your playing days were over, Kirk, you moved into a coaching role with Reading initially as an assistant. And for 1 year, the final year of Riley's career, he was a player, you were a coach. So what was it like coaching Riley? What kind of player was he? How responsive was he to your coaching, at the point where he was in the final year of his career? What was that dynamic like?
Yeah, it was good. I mean, I think it's one thing where you have older guys that they kind of get it. Now, I coached the D, so we didn't necessarily have a whole lot of instruction like one-on-one. I think Riles would agree in that, like where I handled the D most of the time and did a lot of the pre-scouting. The one thing I think dealing with older guys, which is awesome, that is you can have more of a relationship than just kind of like, okay, go stand here, do this drill. You can, shoot the breeze. I won't swear on here, but
appreciate it.
But you can kind of talk and get to know guys a little bit. I know the year prior to Riley being there, we had Ryan Crothers, who's a longtime player for the Royals, who's same age as me, and now we still keep in touch to this day, and I consider him a friend. And I think that's something where you maybe coach younger guys, you don't get that experience. Like Riles is a smart player, like skilled. But at our, at the American League level, we were both pretty similar, and I would say probably pretty similar at the ECA level, where we were more of a guy who's going to play in every situation with, power play, penalty kill, for last minute of the game in either end, where we're probably not doing that at the American League level, where it's more kill and penalties, and we're, probably defensive roles. And there are some other guys out there that were, getting that ice time in the last minute of the game when you're down by a goal, you need to tie it up, right? And but I think it's a good experience for everybody, and obviously in touch. And hockey's a small world, and I think you try and treat people the right way, and it all ends up coming full circle.
Yeah.
And Riles, how about the reverse? Obviously, K-Mac is a coach, and maybe something you learned from him for when you, the very next season, followed his path and became an assistant with Wheeling after retiring as a player.
Yeah, it was something that I feel the reason why I went was because of Kirk. After being out in Utah, they reached out. I felt that Kirk probably had a bigger part in me going there than Larry did, just from probably our past playing days. So it was pretty cool. I really did feel that Kirk did a lot there. Breaking down video, the pre-scouts that we did. And I know just some of the drills that he did with guys, that weren't playing or doing drills with a D that you can pick up on. And, sometimes you got to steal a couple of drills too and use them when I was in the wheel too. So, I think that's kind of how coaching works, though. You have to be able to share your stuff and feel confident and do that. But there was no better thing than kind of seeing K-Mac start to take over there as well. I felt he put his time in. He definitely paid his dues there. 3 or 4 years as an assistant before becoming the head guy. So I feel he's done a great job as an assistant, and now taking over, he puts together some pretty good teams on the ice that we still struggle to beat.
Before we get into the tail of the tape, we're going to sprinkle in some more Facebook questions here. Lots of great interaction. And once again, if you're just joining us, you can just leave a comment down in the Facebook comments section and interact with the show here as you're watching X's and O's on this Tuesday, January 12th, the eve of the NHL season opener, which I know we've all been waiting for quite some time. You'll like this one, Riley. Is there anything your marketing department asks of you that annoys you? Be careful how you answer this question.
No, nothing really. I honestly do feel at this level, the coach, just as much as the players, need to be involved, be out in the community, and kind of putting ourselves out there as well to grow the Mariners up here in Portland, and still keep the fans engaged during this off season. This long off season that we're having. So I'm sure Kirk feels the same way. I've seen some bartending things that you've done, and also some in office little jokes and things like that you've done as well.
Yeah, I mean, geez, it's the minors. Like, you got to do some stuff, but I mean, they're working hard, especially now. To keep people interested. I know we're doing a lot of stuff in the community to try and give back and help out, and it's tough right now, and for everybody, not just minor league sports. There's a lot of people in tough spots, and you got to give a lot of credit to our marketing department and people just doing corporate sales and sponsorships and ticket sales, and it's tough sledding, especially before we knew whether we were officially not playing or not. I mean, that's tough to ask for them to go out and say, hey, buy tickets. We're not sure if we're playing or not, but can you buy some tickets? It's a tough job, and credit to everybody in the organization for kind of slugging through this time. And I think you can say the same thing about Maine, or any of the 14 teams that aren't. Is it 14 or 12 teams that aren't playing right now? So I mean, it's tough for everybody. I do have one marketing gripe. I hate specialty jerseys. But other than that, but that's no knock on our department. Just no. New Jersey, so I'll leave it at that.
I only don't like them when they have tough name bars to try to read, which has been known to happen every now and then.
I think that's universal amongst the radio guys.
I can't put this one up on screen, but it comes in from our buddy David Fine. He says, first time, long time. Is there a better show to see at the Cross Insurance Arena than Kane Brown? I'll hang up and listen. Now, Kane Brown was in town when the Royals were last at the Cross Insurance Arena. And also, I remember that as one of the final days before the world got crazy and we had this pandemic hit us. I think it was about a week before. I think it was our second or third to last home game. And Kane Brown packed the Cross Insurance Arena the night before the Mariners and the Royals played. In fact, we had a coach's show that night, Riles, down at $3 Dewey's, and I believe you went over to attend the concert after. So kind of one of those memories that we all hope to get back to, right, when this is all done, gathering together again in a packed house, whether it's for hockey or for a concert.
Oh, yeah.
Amen.
I can't wait.
Let's get me excited here.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to pull this one up. Now, Sam Trace. Now, Sam has been one of our biggest, whether it's listeners to the coaches show or viewers to any of these, and he is taking X's and O's very seriously with this question. So, ready for this one, guys? What is the most effective way to beat a neutral zone trap, such as the 1-3-1 Guy Boucher used during his stint with Ottawa? Now, I know you guys might not want to give away all your coaching strategies here, so you could choose to answer this how you'd like. But I really want to say thank you, Sam, for taking our definition of X's and O's literally with this question of some serious hockey coaching techniques. Riles, I'll throw this one at you first. How would you approach this situation?
Well, first of all, watching them execute it, they have that one guy that sags all the way back. So if you dump a puck in, you're absolutely never getting it back. I believe Guy was also in Tampa Bay and ran the same thing against the Philadelphia Flyers when Danny was playing. I think there's a clip for about a minute and a half or 2 minutes. Yep. Chris Pronger holds on to the puck and doesn't even skate with it. And Tampa just sits back in the neutral zone. So if you're winning, that's a great way to beat it. You can just run the clock out. I think for myself, if I was facing that, I would have my guys try not to dump pucks in because it's going to be really hard to go get it back. You would have to counterattack quick. Have good kickouts at the blue line and have that middle lane drive guy to come over for support where you can get it back. Hopefully gain zone entry that way with carrying the puck in, not so much dumping a puck in because, it'd be kind of like having Halvey back there playing goal. If you dump a puck in, he's going to go back and grab it and break it out. So, that's kind of how I'd probably handle that.
What do you think, Kurt?
I mean, I just don't let him set up. Really, I mean, get back for pucks quick. I think D, kind of got to look at it as a quarterback in football. Going back, check down to where you're going. Like, what's your first option? Shoulder checking. Limit the D to D so they can't get to their spots. If they can't get to their spots, they can't execute their neutral zone forecheck. That's my opinion. And get going from there. Chalker, when he was in Brampton, ran that 1-3-1-2, and it was painful. And I think a lot of it probably had to do with their travel was so bad they were able to slow the game and conserve a lot of energy. Which is really smart because they're rolling in and playing those 2:00 games on Sunday all the time when they played somewhere else the night before. But it made it tough to play against, and we played against them in the playoffs when I took over. Like 3 games, I coached 3 games of the regular season, and then we went and played them. And we kept trying to go back for pucks and set up kind of a controlled neutral zone breakout against it, and they just kept getting the puck back and going the other way. And they beat us in 6 games, and it kind of changed my mindset on it. And I don't think teams really play it to that extent. That teams play the 1-3-1, but I don't think anybody really plays it to the extent that Guy Boucher does. I'm not sure it's sustainable over a long period of time, but it's not fun. It's painful. I wouldn't want to be playing on a team that played like that either, to be honest, because I think it's, as a player, you want to be aggressive, you want to try and score goals.
Didn't mean to catch you off guard with the full screen. I was trying to get, it was such a long question. I didn't want it to cover up your face there. I was trying to, but we appreciate the question, Sam. And again, we'll get into some more X's and O's shortly here, but we have a lot of questions rolling. I don't want to miss anybody. Riles, we were talking before we went on about some players that have an opportunity to go over play in Europe. Obviously, there are a lot of chances, or rather a lot of situations where guys are looking for chances to play with their teams not playing this year. So Ben here asking about any memories you had from your time in Sweden.
Yeah, I honestly loved going over to Europe and playing. Just experiencing a different culture, different fan base. But during my time in Sweden, I loved hitting up Linköping. It was called a small town just south, and then also Stockholm was just north of me as well. So just going over there, kind of seeing some different cities. I thought the hockey in Sweden was awesome. In the Allsvenskan League, it's great. In the SHL, even better. You see so many players starting to come out of Sweden to play. In the NHL, a lot of guys are getting drafted. They're putting together some pretty good teams at World Juniors now, and you can just see the development coming out of that country a lot. So that's why I went over there and played. I thought it would be a really good league. And you can even see some guys that maybe have a down year in North America here. They go over there. If they can put up some good points in Sweden, they might be able to earn themselves another American League or NHL contract. So it's definitely a good league. It has a good reputation, definitely going over there.
K-Mac, I'm going to throw this next question at you from Bryce. What was the hardest and easiest parts about transitioning from playing to coaching?
Easiest part? Not the off season. Didn't have to. I knew I wasn't playing when we finished in 2013 in Reading, so I was able to kind of relax and kind of get ready to go to RPI for the 13-14 year and be the volunteer assistant there. And hardest part, kind of some of the relationships. I know it was probably, there's times learning about how to deal with guys and kind of the relationships. I know my first year coaching in Reading, there were still like 6 guys that I'd played with the 2 years prior. And I was living in the same apartment complex as the team, so it's like it's easy to want to go and you got to keep your distance and understand that there's going to be decisions made where they're going to think you're a jerk, and even as the assistant coach, there's going to be times when they don't like you, and that's part of it. And I think they understand that it's a business, but at the same time, 2 years prior, I was after a big win, we're all going out to have beers and celebrate, and now it's they go their own way, and somebody does something wrong, now we're the ones that are discipline them or have to hold people accountable. So I think that's kind of one of the things that you don't realize is going to happen until it does. But from the same side, the players realize it too. The guys that were playing and we were teammates, they understand the position I'm in and respect their position. I'm sure Riles kind of went through a lot of that same stuff where if you have a good group of older guys, they respect it, and they do their job, so they make life easier on you.
Riles, I'm pretty sure you hit the nail on the head there. But anything to add to what K-Mac said?
Oh, I think I think when a player you come to drink, you do your warm up, put your gear on, go out on the ice, play, then you come off. Some guys do a workout, some guys hit the bike. Usually it's shower in your home. And now on the coaching side, it's the amount of hats that you have to wear, especially at this level. Whether it's doing the schedule of your bus or hotel rooms, all the transaction papers that have to go into the league, the salary cap. There's so many different things, and you only have Kirk and his assistant, or me and my assistant. It's just 2 guys that are just wearing all these hats and just making it all work. And there's sometimes you go for a practice or a game, and that's the fun time. You're like, finally, like I get to get out there and skate because I'm tired of filling out paperwork. So that's why.
Honestly, I think the best part of hockey season is like training camp and the first couple of weeks, because like everything's pretty settled because the injury bug and the call-ups haven't started yet. So you coach and you're like, I know you're preparing for that stuff to happen, and then playoffs. Because once playoffs happen, you have your roster. And it's like you're coaching then. You don't have to worry about anything else. And that's, to me, those are like coaching at our level are the 2 best times of the year, because he's right. Like when the game starts, it's like, all right, I don't have to worry about any of this other crap. And because you might come off the ice from practice and you might have 7 missed phone calls from your affiliate. Like, we need to call everybody up. And you're like, the bus is about to leave, and you're trying to pack your stuff. You're like, hey, so-and-so, pack your stuff. You're going up, and it's like, oh God, now we don't have enough players for the game tomorrow. I got to find, there was 1 year, 2 years ago, we lost 3 NHL contracted goalies in 2 days. Didn't have anyone to play, and it was a Thursday. We were playing a 3-3. We had to find 2 goalies in 24 hours. Like, it's sometimes chaos, but Ryle, we all deal with it. It's not like this is isolated to me or Ryle's. Like, it's just part of the job at this level. But hopefully someday we can look back and laugh. This is where we got our start.
So we're going to move into tail of the tape in just a second, but I have to get this chirp in from one of your buddies, Riley. Ryer, I think you guys were going back and forth about the World Juniors. So I'm just going to let you respond to that any way you see fit.
Well, K-Mac's Canadian too, but
I know I'm outnumbered here.
Yeah. No, I honestly think Canada just didn't show up in the final there. I don't think they really got tested throughout the tournament too. They might have been stuck in second or third gear going into play against the Americans, who faced a loss during the round robin, who had some tough games or they had a battle back from, and playing Finland, and having to beat and lost it, and they scored late. I don't think Canada really faced that during the tournament, so I think it kind of caught up to them towards the end.
All right, well, let's move along to our tail of the tape here as we get into the kind of the head-to-head between Riley and Kirk, as not only the head-to-head, literally head-to-head between the two teams, but their career stats by comparison. Kirk, congratulations to you for coaching in your 200th career game this past season. And Riley, you will pass that mark as well when we do hit the ice again, hopefully, assuming we have a full season in 21-22. But, pretty even numbers there when you look at the win percentage, which is both well above 500 there, Kirk, above 600. And as you see, K-Mac with the advantage there in the head-to-head record over the first 2 seasons of the Mariners. So when you guys think about this matchup, Mariners versus Royals, what comes to mind when you're going through your scouting reports and you're preparing for the games? And again, I know you don't want to give your strategies away to one another, but we'll start with you, Riles. When you think about playing the Royals, what are some of the themes you're always going over with the guys?
Just how fast they are. They're always a fast team. I think that's the type of team that Kirk's put together and is, since he's taken over. But also at the same time, when you play the Royals at home, and I'm sure, Kirk, this, if they score the first goal, like, good luck. They come out guns a-blazing at home all the time. So if you can hang in there, get the first one, like you honestly, I don't even think a 3-goal lead in Reading is a good lead. They have teams that always come back, and I think that's the type of coach that Kirk is. I don't think he ever thinks he's out of a game. Whether what the score is, and I do know, and I've heard of in Reading, I can hear K-Mac coming in guns a-blazing into the room too a couple of times. So he definitely knows how to motivate and fire his guys up. So that's something that even if we are in the lead, we're always looking to keep pushing, because I know that he's doing that with his guys. And whenever we go into Reading, it's about trying to get through that first 10 minutes, and because they're going to come with a big push.
And Kirk, there have been a lot of tight games over the years between the two teams, and obviously you guys have found a way to win a little more often than we have so far. But what are some of the things that come to mind when you think of playing the Mariners?
I think they're offensively that they're always, willing to come at you offensively and create numbers. I think the one thing for us, we're always, trying to make sure we're above pucks and be in position, because we know if we kind of cheat the game that they're going to be able to go create opportunities and create offense. Power play is always, in my opinion, really good. They move it around really well, where I know they've kind of, when they have success, it's usually like our power play or our penalty kill struggles against them. And I think Riles would agree with that. And they always do a really good job. And especially, I'll say with a dual affiliate up there and the roster churn that can happen with that, Riles and his staff do a really good job with keeping things together, especially in the dog days where, you're, and I think, everybody in our division, but especially all our games, maybe we've won a few more, but, usually it's going to, they say it's going to average out over time, and we've had a ton of 1-goal games. I think we've won a couple of shootouts where they've scored in the last minute, or we've scored in the last minute to get a point here or there. I know that happened a couple times this year, and I remember specifically winning in a shootout, I think maybe the first game up in Maine 2 years ago. So, I like playing Maine because it's it's an up and down game, it's a track meet, which, you'll play some teams and it's a bit of a slog, and win or lose, I think usually you go and come out and was that was a really good hockey game. If there's somebody paying to come watch the game, you're like, that's what it's supposed to look like, and credit to Maine. Like I said, they get up and down the ice quick, I think we try to do. And it's fun hockey no matter where we play.
And another note from Andrew Hart there about the group traveling to Reading. And I know that's one of the more fun things for booster clubs. And by the way, a shout out to the Maine Navigators Booster Club. Like to do. And again, another thing that that's no short trip. So give them credit. That is a 9-hour ride, which the three of us know all too well, especially that stretch, at the end of December, the beginning of January, where I think we made 3 straight trips there, New Year's Eve, school day game, and one other. So definitely takes some dedicated fans to make that trip in both directions. I know we've had Royals fans come to Maine as well. So shout out to the fans. And again, I know they can't wait until they can get back to traveling and obviously just coming to home games as well. So Kirk, you actually had a good segue there with talking about that the shootout game the first year, because that is part of our video clip breakdown. So with that, let's jump right into it. And we have here clips kind of spread out between the two teams over the first 2 years. We have a number of different scenarios, and we're going to kind of try to pick the brains of both Riley and Kirk. This is something we're going to do each and every episode as we go through the head-to-head matchups between the teams, the Mariners and their North Division opponents here. So you guys feel free to jump in here, and if you need me to rewind the tape at any point, more than happy to do that. But this was the game that Kirk was just referencing first here. October 19th, 2018, the Mariners and the Royals at the Cross Insurance Arena. The Royals would ultimately win this game 4-3 in a shootout, but this was a late game situation. As you see here, 54.1 seconds remaining with the Mariners down 1, the goalie on the bench, and the Mariners are going to get the tying goal here. And this is something that's going to come up in many of these clips here, is late game situations. So Riley, obviously starting with you here, with the team down by 1, you, I believe, just called your timeout, less than a minute to go. You have the extra skater. What was said on the bench going into this scenario, and what are you kind of trying to draw up at this point in time?
Going into it, when the clock's at 2 minutes and as it's ticking down, you're trying to figure out who's on the ice, when are you going to get a timeout? Can you get some guys rested up? And then try and figure out the guys that you want on the ice. For example, there, Wally being a right-handed shot, I wanted him on the face-off on a strong side. He was really good for us in draws during that first year and also last year as well. So it's a guy that you want out there. But mostly it was just trying to get pucks to the net. You have a minute, try and funnel pucks there, have a bunch of guys down there at the paint. And I don't think necessarily a 6-on-5 goal is going to be a pretty backdoor tap-in. They're always dirty garbage goals around the paint. So trying to get guys out there that wanted to kind of hang out around that area to score. Ended up working out for us. It actually, I felt, even though we lost the game, it was almost a turning point in that first season for us. Kind of got on a roll after that game as well.
And yeah, that's one of the things. One of the things that I remember mentioning too, as well. Even though that was a loss, just the character shown by the Mariners to tie that game and then force the overtime. And again, the Royals would prevail in the shootout. Kirk, from the defensive perspective there, obviously the pressure's on the other team in this spot, but you're a man down with the empty net. What are the messages you're kind of conveying typically in these spots?
Take away time and space. Obviously, I think teams, you see a lot of teams be a little passive 6-on-5. I think maybe 5-on-4 you could be passive, but there's 11 guys on the ice. There's not a whole lot of time and space for anybody. So we want to be aggressive. I don't think that's any secret. We all have video. So as you can see, assistant coach Nick here is on the wall, so he can remember as a right shot. And I think that's Dan Milan as a left shot net front there. And really the goal happens because our centerman there, Mike Hunterbrinker, who was our best player that year, but he should have been man-on-man with the centerman, and that's Terrence who ends up scoring the goal. He gets a little puck staring, which happens. That's really – I thought everybody else did their job on that play. As you can see, he gets a little puck staring, and Terrence sneaks in behind, and even a blind squirrel finds a nut. I know Terrence –
We'll be looking for the comment from Wally in the next couple of minutes if he is watching. And by the way, check out his podcast as well. They're using StreamYard too with Wally and Dylan Fox, like Stall Stories. You can find it over on Instagram. Moving on to the next clip, almost 1 year later, October 10th, 2019. This was actually Reading's home opener last season, and actually Wally's going to get his redemption here, I think, on this play, as he out-hustles the defense and scores this nice kind of one-hand sweep goal. And Riley, I think in that spot, the thing that stood out to me was just the hard work there, as he's obviously outnumbered. He's by himself into the zone, and it doesn't look like he's going to get an opportunity to even get a shot on net, and he finds a way.
Yeah, I think during, one-man effort for Wally for sure, gaining body position and being able to score that goal. But at the same time, I think it was a big goal for us in the game, being up 3-2 and kind of getting that little bit of a push in there, because you knew that they were going to start to come. They always have a strong push there towards the end. So it kind of gave us a little bit of breathing room as well, but definitely an unbelievable goal in the games that we've played.
Kirk, anything there that your defense, your goaltending that you wanted to see different?
Well, back that all the way up to the start.
All right, back it up.
So number 2, that's Ralph Kademi. He does a good job hunting the puck, and we're doing pretty good. And credit, like Terrence, he found 2 blind squirrel finds 2 nuts, I guess. But he does a good job blowing the zone. Like, great job here. And you gotta give a guy credit. Like, he just worked his tails off and made a play. And you know what? I remember this. Like, we were coming, and this was kind of the backbreaker. That this goal ended the game. And we get up there, and he was able to get his stick on it and jump around. And credit to Terrence, he must have put this video together. But no, but that's like, all joking aside, Terrence was one of your guys' best players last year for a reason. He's arguably the hardest working guy on their team tonight, in my opinion, and it was always a guy that you were kind of worried about, and played in every situation, and that goal kind of, to me, sums up him kind of as a player, just how hard he played.
Yep. So we'll fast forward to the end of this game now. So now it's a 5-2 game, 1:48 left. And just the reason we put this clip in is the Royals are going to get a goal back. But this is one of those situations. Riley has been in this situation a lot as well. Down multiple goals late in a game, and you're in that, do I pull the goalie down 2 goals? Do I pull him down 3 goals? A lot of times coaches won't even bother pulling him down 3. And then, you're juggling, do I use my timeout in this spot? Kirk, where do you kind of stand on, where is that line where you kind of decide, okay, it's an insurmountable deficit, I don't even want to bother pulling my goalie? Or, do you kind of subscribe to, we no matter what the score is, we're going to.
I got a question for you, Michael. If you lose 4-0 or you lose 3-0, does he get more points?
Yeah, no,
exactly. So pull the goalie, right? And to me, statistically speaking, there's been a lot of science behind it and research that, like, really, if you're down by 2 goals, you should be pulling the goalie with 5 to 7 minutes. It's more of a from coaching standpoint, it's an ego thing that you don't want to get embarrassed, really. But from a science standpoint, analytics, you should be pulling the goalie for early.
And then,
and this one pretty simple. I think this was our power play unit with we put Losey out there as the 6th because he was playing really great net front presence for us, and Ralph Kademi does a great job tipping that, and I think it ends up hitting Losey, deflecting to go in. But again, like the last 6-on-5 goal for Maine, pucks and people at the net. It's not rocket science.
And yet we have yet another 6-on-5 situation
Are
here.
we going to go through this whole one? Is there a camera in our dressing room from this game?
Not that I'm aware of. So you are on the other side this time here, Kirk, with a 1-goal game, and you guys are going to tie this up late. And kind of similar to the Wallen goal, where traffic in front of the net is the big key here, as you're going to see. I think Hayden Hodgson deflect this, but talk me through this play.
Yeah, I remember this one. Again, Matty Gaudreau. Again, he's facing, so the defenders are going to back off a little bit, right? Because he's standing right in front of him like this, and then, again, we're kind of set up in a power play formation with 2 guys net front, and Matty just does a great job, gets a puck at the net, and I think we got Haji and Ralph net front, and we're able to tie this game. I remember this was a really good game. I think it was back and forth all night, like most of the games are, between both of us, with the exception of a couple times over the last 2 years, and again, there's a theme 6-on-5, get pucks to the net.
Yeah, and this was November 11th of last year, or 2 years ago now. Crazy, we're in 2021, everybody. This was the night where Gritty was in the building. The Mariners would go on to win this game. In fact, we have 2 more clips. So this one, there's a penalty taken at the end of 3rd period, which sets up a power play in overtime. And, tensions are running hot at this point of the game, right? The one team just tied it. The other team's unhappy. Both teams are now going to be battling for a bonus point for all intents and purposes. And you're going to see Terrence Wallen again. He did not put this tape together, Kirk. I promise you this. He's going to come and lay a big hit at center, and that eventually is going to draw a penalty here to Graves. And that's going to give the Mariners the power play in overtime. But I know.
I'm so about it.
Go ahead. Tell me about you guys. I mean, what's that mindset like when you're in a crucial situation and you really can't afford to be taking a penalty at this point? To set up a team with a 4-on-3 in overtime. So, what's the message you guys try to send to kind of keep those tempers down, especially when a game gets intense?
From my understanding, my opinion, it's a hit. I mean, it's ice hockey. Sometimes guys hit you, that's just keep playing. I mean, the minute we have between, we're not worried about now at the who took the penalty. We're going over our 4-on-3 PK and trying to prepare. I think you can the next. I know what the next clip's going to be, but the guy you guys made. The pass was sick. I think it was a sauce pass across the seam one timer. Like, doesn't matter what your coverage is, that's a goal, And but you put yourself in that situation. Those are the kinds of penalties that usually end up in a goal against. And I think Riles would agree. Like, there's good penalties and bad penalties, and those are the ones that usually end up, because I think there's a little bit of negativity throughout the lineup where it gives some, and the other team gets a little boost. They feel like they're getting a bit of a gift. You know what I mean?
And Riles, I mean, you had the benefit of having 2 really good guys on their off wing with the one-timers here with Alex Kyle and Greg Chase, and they're going to switch spots. So they're on their one-time wings. And, what a luxury to have right in the 4-on-3, 2 guys that can not only shoot but pass the puck, and then ultimately it results in Kyle's game winner here.
Yeah, I think having that, you have a 2-minute or a minute break going into overtime. So just able to get, the guys you want on the ice. Everyone's fresh. You can lay out a game plan. Something that I think a lot of people don't really ever practice a 4-on-3. Like, I don't think it's really in their their bag of tricks, or it's like, okay, today after practice, we're going to do a 4-on-3. You're usually just working on, just a standard power play. So I know that's something that we like to touch on a lot, just because of this. And going to a 7-minute overtime. I think you're going to see more power plays in that, just because it's a longer period of time now. So I think it's important that you could, grab that extra point before going into a shootout where I think anything can happen once you get into that spot.
Okay, moving on here. New Year's Eve in Reading, and we're going to have a 200-foot goal here, as K-Mac refers to it, for the Royals, as they're going to start out of their own zone, and eventually Braden Lowe is going to score. This is a very pretty goal here. And I know as coaches, you guys take pride when plays start in the defensive zone and they end up in the other team's net. So K-Mac, break this one down for us.
Yeah, I think you go right back where we create possession here. That's Thomas Ebbing does a great job, and Coxie Garrett Cockrell there gets great net front release, and now he's able to, if you pause it there, just through the neutral zone, our forwards do a good job pushing your guys' D back, right? So that Coxie's got all this time and space to skate through the neutral zone, and then he's able to distribute through the middle of the ice, and then he gets a good middle net drive, and he's able to make a play. And again, I think kind of another theme of all of from both teams, pucks and people at the net. It's again not rocket science.
And we then, again, this was a week later, January 7th. This was the school day game. Kind of a different type of goal here. I mean, I think what you're saying about pucks and people to the net is going to apply again, but this one, kind of a face-off play where Corey Mackin is going to end up scoring right there as he gets position. And Kirk, this was a big game for you guys. Obviously, there were a lot of kids in the building with the school day game. A lot of teams around the league do, and you got a big win. Tell me about this goal.
Yeah, and credit. So if you stop it right before here, so
I'll back it up.
So right where, if you play it out and you can't really see it well, but you stop it here, Matty Gaudreau lines up net front, and Matt Strome's on the board as a winger. So we win this drawback. Usually it's a high switch play. And again, they talked about this themselves. We didn't, as coaches, draw this up for them. But usually Stromer would be hanging out some here. We're in the high slot. Every team runs this play. This isn't off of face-offs. It's pretty common. But, I think Stromer felt he didn't have a great option. I think he was covered here by the winger that you can't really see in the video. So he works himself to the back door. And Matty realized that we've got numbers again with Stromer hitting the back post, and Mac goes to the net, and we're able to get a little bit of a bounce. I know they had actually scored, I think, the game previous to this on a play where Stromer just hung out in the high slot and got a one-timer from Matty on the exact same rotation.
And we're going to finish with the final game. This was actually the weekend of the Kane Brown concert, as Finder was referencing earlier. This was a really good one. Throwback night at the Cross Insurance Arena. This is a very intense game. I remember feeling that this game had a playoff atmosphere, a lot of good defense and goaltending. And in fact, Tom McCollum, who we're going to see in a little bit here, making his return to Maine as a member of the Royals. But Riles, now you're in the opposite situation. Well, I guess the very first clip, you're in the same situation, down by 1 here. But what is being talked about during this timeout? This was a crucial game in terms of the standings. For a while there, Maine and Reading were actually pretty close, as those 2 through 4 spots in the North Division playoff race were kind of tight for most of the season. So knowing that every point was big, what was going on the bench here?
Yeah, once again, you always have a game plan, like we touched on at the start of our show, of guys get hurt during a game, and you're taking that player off your 6-on-5 in case you're in this spot, putting a new guy in. What guys are really clicking that game. But you can tell when you from this angle, you look at both benches and you can see how everyone is involved. And like you said, a playoff type game, usually it's like the 5 people or 6 guys that are going on the ice are huddled up there, and you're drawing out some sort of plan. But you can tell every guy on both teams is dialed in to what K-Mac or I are saying. And I think that's the coolest part about that whole clip is how everyone is really dialed in. They all, we want to score that goal, and Reading's looking like, guys, we need this win. So I think that's kind of where I'm at with this, and putting together the best game plan possible right now.
And Kirk, you alluded to it earlier on the Wallen goal, where you kind of talked about momentum in that game, the Royals home opener, and then this one too. You guys took a 2-0 lead into the third period. Michael McNicholas scored, I think, about halfway through and make it 2-1. And you're on the road in that spot, so it probably feels like the momentum is not on your side. What do you remember about your huddle here with your guys?
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those kind of tight checking games. I think for these situations, we're just going over what our rules are, 6-on-5, making sure everybody knows what they're doing off the face-off, win or lose, and then kind of just, making sure you can see there's a lot of guys around, and there's a minute 20, so we're kind of going over with the second group of guys that may go out in this potential 6-on-5 situation, right? Because in this, you might not have an opportunity to call another timeout. It might get a line on the ice and it's an icing. So you want to make sure that you have basically 10 guys that know what they're doing, 6-on-5, 2 lines and 2 sets of D that can go out there and are prepared and know what we're doing off all the face-offs.
So the final clip, Mariners fans will remember this well. Great chance right here as you see Connor Bleakley to the left of Tom McCollum. Just looks like he has an empty net, and McCollum's going to come over and rob him. Unfortunately, we had the camera switch there at a tough time, but if you can follow that across, big time save, and then the clock will run down. And K-Mac, I'm sure that win meant a lot to McCollum coming back, facing his former team and his former building, and he gets pretty pumped up after the clock hits 0 here.
Yeah, I mean, we thought we were going to overtime. I know. I think it was Cockrell net front who they slipped the pass through, and he came. I think after the game, he's like, I thought it was in. He was looking around and he couldn't believe what was going on. And one of the saves of the year, probably in the league. So he bailed us out on that one, that's for sure.
And Riley, I mean, there's nothing you can be upset about there, right? I mean, that play is telegraphed perfectly. I think that's Dylan Fox at the goal line. I mean, he's got the open man, and Bleakley, one of your better shooters. You can't really ask for a better chance, right?
Yeah. You would hope that guys score on every chance you get, but they don't. I thought Tom played awesome during this game, and I would have Connor in that exact same spot in any other game as well. I thought we had our best 6 guys out there with Nicky, Foxy, Bleakley, AK, Wally, if I said him, and Tails. So, I wouldn't be in any other spot. Those guys would go on the ice in the exact same spot anyways.
That was our X's and O's video breakdown. And I think we covered a lot there. And I think it went to show how many close games the teams played. I know there were a few blowouts in there, but I mean, you think about all those late game scenarios that we went through, and certainly plenty of opportunity that you guys had to coach in those spots where really you make your money as coaches. And there have been several comments that have come in over the course of these video clips, and obviously this one here from somebody we know that was called out a few times during those clips. So that's Wally with the self-deprecating humor on there, a career -70 against Reading. I don't think that's accurate. I have to go look back at the stats on that one.
That's a good one.
That's what Wally had brought up. And I forgot to bring this up earlier, but we are going to do a quick trivia question here. So I'm sure fans will be all over this one. But in the all-time head-to-head series between the Mariners and the Royals, can you tell us which player on either team leads in scoring? And the first person to answer this correctly is going to win a Mariners scarf. So throw it in the comments if you think you know the answer, and we will bring that up, and we'll give you a few minutes to think about that. We are a little bit over the hour here, but there are a few more topics, if you guys don't mind, that I wanted to cover here.
Until next October.
That's right. You got nothing better to do, right? some news today in the ECHL with 2 expansion teams coming in for the 21-22 season in Coralville, Iowa, and the one that will more directly affect the Mariners and the Royals, as it will most certainly be a North Division team in Trois-Rivières, Quebec. So pretty exciting. Anytime the league expands, I think, guys, and when we're in a spot right now where league's obviously going through a tough time with plenty of teams not playing. The fact that the field is going to be expanded next year and the North Division is going to go back to that 7-team format, most likely. I'm sure you guys are excited about it.
Yeah, losing Manchester going into last year, and for us having that close game or just another opponent, I enjoy going down to play Reading, even though they're in the same division. You see Reading play a lot of like the Wheeling, the Norfolk, and those types of teams. So it's good to go down there when we're playing a lot of the Worcester and the Thunder a lot. So it's there, and I think it's going to be awesome having them in. I can promise you, I think Danny might make every trip for that game.
What do you think, K-Mac?
Yeah, I think it's awesome, and it's again, playing another team is nice, and it's you can kind of bookend it, potentially going to Newfoundland and flying into Montreal and playing them, or vice versa. For us, we could potentially fly to Newfoundland, fly there, play a couple games, hit Adirondack, and go home. And I think that's where, instead of just going to one place for one game, where we've done in the past, going to Maine for one game, or you guys have got us for one game. It's painful, to get on the bus that long for one game is tough. Where you have another team like that, where we can kind of get out on the road, play a few games, and knock a few off. And I've never been to Trois-Rivières, so I'm excited to see a new place, a new city.
Yeah, and obviously Manchester leaving the league a couple of years ago, affected us, Riles, here in Maine a lot with our travel. And not that Trois-Rivières is close, but as Kirk just said there, hopefully it will break up the one and done type trips that we had last season. Yeah,
no, it's just like he talked. If I could have points for the Danbury Mall, since we stopped there every single time going down for Chipotle or Chick-fil-A or whatever, that was our one stop we'd always hit, going there and coming home. So you didn't even have to tell our bus driver Sammy during the trip. He would just pull in there because he knew, hey, it's just one and done, we're in, we're out. So no, I'm really looking forward to it.
Shout out to Samson as well. We miss you, and we can't wait to get back with you again, hopefully soon. And we have a correct answer to our trivia question from Victor Morrison. Dylan Fox, the former Reading Royal himself, is the answer with 13 career points against the Royals in the head-to-head. So congratulations, Victor. We'll get a hold of you on Facebook to redeem your prize. The runners up, by the way, on the Royals side, 3 players with 12 points: Braden Lowe, Frank Duchera, and Matty Goudreau. Goudreau particularly impressive, as he did that all in one season last year. So thanks to everybody that made their guesses. And if you missed out, the next episode of X's and O's 2 weeks from tonight we'll tease our guests at the end of the show, but we'll have another trivia question for that as well. Last topic here, guys, before we call it a night. We would be remiss not to talk about the NHL on the eve of opening night here. A couple of interesting wrinkles, obviously, this season, a 56-game schedule, new divisions for the year. Teams will be playing one another a lot more frequently. We'll have some existing rivalries that will heat up. We'll have some new rivalries created. Overall thoughts on what you think this season will look like and how it might be different than a normal year with all of those things considered.
Who's up?
I'll jump in at once.
I'm just excited to watch some hockey and have something to do and kind of maybe do some video and break games down. I think, and Riles will probably say the same thing. Pretty excited about this all-Canadian division. I know Nick has the NHL TV package, so we can watch all the Sportsnet feeds of games and throw it on our TVs. And so we'll probably be watching all those games along with the, is it the East Division now with the Northeast Division with the Flyers, Rangers, and Capitals. I think, obviously watch a lot of Flyers games, that them being our affiliate and being within the area. And, those are probably the majority of the games that we'll be watching. But excited to have 115 straight days of games. So my wife will love it.
Yeah, same. I was just going to say that. But a lot of people during the season, they always say, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And I really think this NHL season is going to be a sprint with the shortened season, playing in division. When you look at our division, I feel every game is a playoff game whenever we play. And I think a team in the NHL now is going to see, if you lose 2 or 3, 4 in a row, you're sitting at the bottom of the hill pretty quick, and it's hard to dig out of those holes. So I'm excited to see how the players, how everybody kind of manages that, having a different outlook this year with that.
Here's the slate tomorrow night for opening night. Penguins at Flyers, Canadiens at Maple Leafs, Blackhawks at Lightning, Canucks at Oilers, and Blues at Colorado. If you had to pick one, guys, what are you watching tomorrow? I know you can watch multiple ones, but what's the headliner?
I'm watching Pitt. Oh, geez, I don't know. You have that
good ones there.
I don't know. I think the first two there. I think the Battle of Pennsylvania is good, and then Montreal, Toronto, the original 6 lineup is looking pretty enticing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I agree. I think what game's on at 5 tomorrow?
Yeah, that's Pitt, Philly.
Perfect. And then you can watch Montreal, Toronto. Then
and then you can go to bed watching the Oilers game there. Yeah. So you should be all set.
The league did a good job of spacing out the start times here, so you could probably catch just about every single one of those without much overlap. At least 3 of them. The 5:30, 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock setup there. So very, very, very exciting that it gets underway tomorrow, and I know we're all really thrilled to have hockey back in our lives, where a void has been left this season for everyone here, particularly in the North Division. Well, it's been fun, guys. We went longer than I thought we would, but I don't think I think we probably could go another 45 minutes with topics that I didn't cover or comments that I didn't get to. But let's definitely plan on doing this again, and maybe at the end of this, we will all get the whole North Division coaches together for a full roundtable.
Sounds like a plan. Thanks for having me, guys.
Awesome. Thanks, Gills. Thanks, K-Mac.
2 weeks from tonight, we will have our next episode of X's and O's, and it will be with Adirondack Thunder head coach Alex Lowe. Kind of a tale of 2 seasons in the head-to-head between the Mariners and the Thunder. The Thunder had the upper hand in 18-19, and the Mariners definitely turned the tables in 19-20. So it'll be fun to break down more video clips and talk about that matchup. And then we'll have some NHL games that have been played that we can talk about and break down as well. That will be 2 weeks from tonight. Mark your calendars, Tuesday, January 26th, once again here at 7 o'clock on Facebook Live. Big thanks to everybody that tuned in, including all the fans from the Reading Royals, of course, anyone throughout the ECHL, and our Mariners fans as well. We appreciate it. We miss you. And again, as we go by each and every day, of course, we get closer to October 2021, when hopefully we'll be all back together again at the Cross Insurance Arena. Until then, as Natalie just said there, 116 days of hockey starting tomorrow every day. So that will be a lot of fun. Thank you, Riley. Thank you, Kirk. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Signing off here on Facebook Live, Michael Keeley. Have a great night, everybody, and enjoy the hockey tomorrow.